Hey there, Jeannie here, Bookkeepers from Startup to Scaling. This is for you. Okay, today's video, I would like to help bookkeepers by answering some questions I've had. So in this case, this is from people who've reached out to me from different countries to ask me about whether they can join my transformation program where there might be, or they're not 100% confident in their technical ability to do the bookkeeping work. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to answer that question today. So first I had an email from a bookkeeper in New Zealand, and she has a really great background in marketing, and so that also meant that she has great administration skills, she's got some accounts experience, etc. Okay, now another email I have got is from a bookkeeper. I'm not sure what country she is located in, so I'll be emailing her back to check on that. But she has got a really interesting mixed background, and actually I read her email, and often I read emails from bookkeepers like this where their technical skill is not like they've got some skill, but they're not a veteran, right? And this is the thing, when you are at the beginning of your journey, okay, so a startup bookkeeper, you haven't started yet, or you're thinking, I'd really like to be running my own bookkeeping practice or be self-employed as a bookkeeper, right? And often it's for the same reasons as all of us, the same reasons I started for. You are always going to have gaps in your knowledge. In fact, I would say you don't know what you don't know. And so when you start out, what you're going to find is your first year as a self-employed bookkeeper is where you gain arguably the most knowledge you will ever gain, especially if you do it the way that I am going to suggest that you do it. So the email that I'm literally looking at right now, really interesting because I did read it and think, my goodness, this was a lot like my journey. So I'm going to tell you a few key points so you can relate to it if you're feeling the same way. Like, can I do the transformation program if I don't feel like I've got all the, the technical skill things ticked? Because the answer is either yes, you're ready, or it's like, no, go get ready, and I'm going to give you, when both apply, okay? So in this case, this person, let's call her Sally, okay? So she's been in various roles. She's 38. Oh my goodness, I was 38 when I was in this position. Amazing. This happens all the time. I can relate to the stories. So she's had a really wide background, so had I, okay? She also has worked in admin, accounts. She's worked as an accounting technician, which is also known as a bookkeeper. She's used Xero software, so I suspect she's in either Australia or the Australia Pacific region where Xero is popular. She got her Xero certification. She's got more than I did way back in 38, when I was 38. Okay, she's never done payroll. I hadn't either, and actually that had made me quite nervous as well. Now, Sally says, I did pretty much everything except payroll when I decided I wanted to start my own bookkeeping business, and I thought I'd learn as I go. Plus, her mum is a bookkeeper. My mum was a bookkeeper accountant for my dad's accounting firm. Oh my goodness, she has such a solid background or base to go from. She's also in her third year of accounting degree. So, number one, I would say that usually I find that the bookkeeper psychometric profile is such that they tend to have more skill than confidence. So I often think that you overstate your own gap in your knowledge, but I'm going to give you detail on this. So the first thing I would say to Sally is that her background is ideal. She's got tons of skills. Don't worry that she doesn't have payroll. Does she need to be able to do payrolls? Probably. I'm going to cover that off in a minute. Okay, so country to country, there are different things that you need to be able to even operate as a double entry accounting technician, aka bookkeeper, self-employed bookkeeper doing the books for businesses. So in your country, you just need to look at what that is. For example, in Australia, we need to have as at today, which is the 11th of August 2025, we need to have a minimum certificate for in bookkeeping and BAS agent registration. Now, I'm not sure even in Australia whether actually, no, I do know. You don't, as far as I know, because I am a registered BAS agent, I've got all the things, right? But I don't think you even need your certificate for, you just need to be coming under a BAS agent. So either you need to be a BAS agent or come under a BAS agent in Australia. For example, New Zealand is different again, America, Canada, UK, all different, so you can check that. But the more important thing, because regardless of your qualifications and everything else, there is your ability to actually do the work, which is what we're going to go into now. So where Sally has said, can I join your program? And she said, or should I be gaining some more experience working for someone else first? So I'll give you the pros and cons of both. So number one, Sally can absolutely join my program, I think, with the base of knowledge she's got. And this is exactly what would happen if she joined our program. I'm going to explain this to you. So the Strategic Bookkeeper Transformation Program, it is built for technically skilled bookkeepers in order to support them to win work, okay, so brand marketing and selling, and then deliver the work as well. So we give you everything you need across the front end brand marketing and selling in order to build a pipeline of pre-sold prospects and then be able to convert pretty much all of them, or definitely all the ones that you want, which is usually about 80% of inquiries, into high value raving fan clients without price as a priority. So that's kind of like the front end of what we do, the front end of your business. Then the back end, we have dedicated coaches, systems, etc., that support you with the practice management, so the practice and the practice administration, two different things, and also the human resources, recruit and manage a team, and also the client delivery of work, all kind of in done for you standard operating procedures and so on. But let's just say Sally joined my program, and let's say for a minute Sally's in Australia, because I'm not quite sure, then this is what we would do. So we would want Sally to come in and make sure that she can compliantly trade, right? So we would say, okay, if you need to get your qualifications, your BAS agent registration, then we can refer you to various people that you can come under to make sure that you're compliant, tick, tick, tick. Okay, so that's kind of like the compliance stuff covered. Then step two, so we would actually, because Sally's a startup, so we categorize you into either startup, growing, booked but broken, or scaling, the 4 archetypes. So because Sally is startup, we would say, okay, we're going to put you in our startup group, and you need to focus on being a startup, right, winning the work. But also we would say, we know that one of the hardest things about year one, and oftentimes year two and so on, but if you are with us at the Strategic Bookkeeper, we should really be able to deal with this year one. And I'll even think of a story. So Linda Hall, who featured recently on our podcast, so as at the 11th of August 2025, it was recent. If you want to have a look, it's probably in the episode 110, something like that, around that kind of area. So when Linda started about 18 months ago, she was a startup, and I remember talking to Linda, and she was really struggling with the tech. Her skills were really solid, but still being a startup, it's nerve-wracking. Okay, so she was struggling with tech, etc. So, and then actually another story where I caught up with all my startups not so long ago, and I ran 4 master classes specifically for startup bookkeepers in my program. And we discovered that as startups, we all feel the same way. I was able to reflect. And one of the big things is this nerves around imposter, monster, and technical ability. So what we would do is we would point you towards veteran senior bookkeepers that you can actually pay to train you on the job. So my advice, and from my experience, from 15 years ago starting my practice, from feeling all the things, from having to get, go from being a qualified bookkeeper with really broad experience to being a small business double entry accounting technician that had a broader base and experience. What I didn't have, which is what I really needed, is what I'm recommending to you, to Sally. Okay, so if you come in, we get you hooked up with one of these veteran seniors that has got capacity to support you. Then we show you how to go out and win work, right? So you go out, you fill that pipeline, you win work. The first thing you sell to them is a file health check, and we make sure you feel really confident to do that file health check. Now, the second thing you sell to them is some form of catch-up rectification work, and this is where the learning happens in the first year. Now, I am a catch-up rectification specialist, and almost every new client will come with some form of catch-up rectification. Some of them will be smaller, easier jobs. Some of them will be absolute nightmares. And so long as you've got a veteran in your pocket, it is going to be the best, fastest, most amazing learning that you could ever get. And I would argue that, so Sally has said, should I go and gain more experience working for someone else first? Well, personally, I actually think that if you win work and pay that veteran bookkeeper to train you, you will learn faster. That's my opinion. I think when you go and work for someone else, you don't fully get control over what you're learning. Therefore, some of it will be relevant to, learning, to doing what you need to do in your own practice, and some of it won't, because you're not going to go and be able to get experience doing the kind of high-end work that you can't do now. Does that make sense? So basically, we connect you with the senior, we show you how to win the work, and then a portion of what you're getting paid for that work, okay, depending on whether it's kind of easy or super, super hard, you get into a Zoom room with this veteran bookkeeper. So imagine they form part of your team, right? So I always talk about, if you're watching this video style, I've pivoted to a slide that is the 5 big keys, right? Team, education, assets, implementation, support. And this team part, there's a reason it's number 1 in a 5-step linear process, okay? So you're putting a veteran bookkeeper on your team. Like me, for example, if I had capacity, I could do this. You get in a Zoom room with me and we say, okay, show me the file, show me this, show me that. Right, we fire questions and you learn on the job, but you pay the senior usually about the same as you're getting paid. So as at today, a senior bookkeeper would command anywhere between 100 and 180 generally dollars per hour, with a less senior bookkeeper to support them to do these kind of catch-up rectification jobs. And the same applies for payroll, okay? So Sally has made a comment in her email, which is, it's really good. It's really cool. She said, for example, I'm wondering, so she said she knows that the transformation program helps with brand and marketing and so on. And she doesn't want to go out, win work, and then embarrass myself when you give me these amazing materials and I don't know what I'm doing in the bookkeeping side. And I like the way that's phrased, because that is important, right? You need to be able to deliver the work. And honestly, to do that, you just need to team up. And you need to team up in exactly the simple way that I am suggesting. Now, if you're in my transformation program, you'll be surrounded by veteran senior bookkeepers, internally and externally, that we can point you to, okay? So we'll have your back, so to speak, okay? So now, with the power of AI, we can turn this into a checklist as well if we need to, but I'd love to just now wrap this video up and summarize. So if you are a bookkeeper at the beginning of your journey and you're wondering about what kind of technical skill ability do I need to have to join the Strategic Bookkeeper Transformation Program, okay? Well, you need to have enough technical skill and ability to be able to become a bookkeeper in practice, okay? So when I started my practice, I had done my certificate in bookkeeping. That helped fill some gaps, but then that first year in practice is where I was really scrambling really hard to just learn and learn and learn from everyone I could get my hands on, okay, in order to make sure that I was delivering beautifully, okay? So the other question is, as a bookkeeper coming into the program, you know, assessing your own technical ability, we give you end of month checklists, and absolutely you need to be able to tick all that off and make sure that you are doing all the functions of the double entry accounting technician role. But you can absolutely join the program with gaps in your knowledge. That is normal. All of my startups have gaps in their knowledge, okay? Because I don't think I've ever seen a bookkeeper start a practice knowing everything, because I really think most of what you learn in your first year in practice. But absolutely, you need a solid base of skills to come in with. But then I do recommend that you hook up with the veteran senior who's kind of training you on the job, okay? And if that means that in your first year in your country of residence, you are under supervision by someone like we have to do in Australia, well, that's great. That senior can potentially be that person as well. I do supervision for you know, bus agents from time to time inside my practice as well. So it's all a completely normal thing. So wrapping this up also into now you just decide, okay, go away, have a think about what you've learned, work out at what point you think your skills are just good enough to join the transformation program, knowing that you can 100% team up. You can learn everything that you need to learn really about how to run a payroll if you've got sound base of skills to come in from a veteran senior, okay? Because you're going to team up with veteran seniors. That's what you need to do, okay? Now, lastly, I'll say that my most successful bookkeepers inside my program are not my most technical skilled, okay? Technical skill and success inside my program, I would say they're not linked, okay? So what I mean by that, in fact, the most technically skilled bookkeepers inside my program, I'm thinking of some of them now, they definitely haven't enjoyed the same level of success as some of the, you know, maybe I'll call it less veteran bookkeepers. So your technical ability is not linked to your ability to create success, meaning a highly profitable practice that is scaled, that is a real business, that gives you both income and time. The technical ability to do the work is one thing that you need. And you absolutely always need to team up to make sure that you can do that. And as a bookkeeper in practice, you don't tend to specialize in everything. You tend to end up specializing in some things, and building a team to support you and for all of you to support one another, whether that team is offshore, onshore, etc., is always going to be something that you should be doing as well, okay? So if this video has not answered your questions for Sally that wrote in for you, if you are watching and you have the same question, I would really welcome you reaching out to me via email, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global, and I will see you in the next video.